The new man of tomorrow, a new hero to protect Earth and bring justice to the supervillains that plague society, a new protector for an entire world to look up to. You might think this is a title and responsibility not lightly given to just anyone, but it was. In a potential Elseworlds future of the DC Universe, the heroes that we have known and loved are aging, finally? But not just physically, also in popularity. Now, as times change, so do ideals, so do principles, so does taste. Enter Magog, a future hero to come along in Superman's waning years of popularity, bringing a new form of justice, a violent form that brings with it zero qualms about killing. For example, the Joker. Yeah, Magog killed Joker while in custody for murdering a multitude of people at the Daily Planet, including Lois Lane. But the world, the legal system of justice, stands behind Magog, denouncing the old world ways of Superman and the like, who believe that all life is sacred, that everyone deserves a chance and no one should be killed, regardless of their crime. Superman is defeated. He doesn't recognize this world he spent his life defending and protecting. He can't stop them, but he also can't stand with this new guard of heroes. Superman goes into exile. Until Kansas gets wiped off the map. Yeah, this new protector of Earth, this Magog, whose design, mind you, was an intentional shot at everything writer Mark Waid and artist Alex Ross despised about comic book hero design of the 90s. But more on that later. This protector of Earth waged a battle against Parasite that resulted in Captain Atom getting damaged to the point that the living nuclear reactor turned into a nuclear bomb, destroying Kansas and sending the Midwest into nuclear devastation. It had been 10 years. 10 years since Superman exiled himself from a world he didn't recognize, a belief in heroism that he could no longer follow. 10 years since he decided to leave it up to the new guard. But no more. Kal-El felt a world call to him. Clark Kent dusted off the suit and ironed the cape. Superman returned. In a 4-part miniseries that ran from May to August of 1996, Mark Waid and Alex Ross brought the world a view of aged superheroes returning from their exiles and retirement to save a world from a new batch of metahuman heroes that tread a very thin line between heroism and villainy. A story that sees differing ideals and approaches by these old guards, but all with mostly altruistic intentions. Stop these reckless metahumans, guide them to become better versions of themselves, help the ones who want to truly be heroes, just as they did Magog, the Cable-inspired failure of a superhero. Oh yeah, I did say I'd elaborate more on that. Yeah, Alex Ross stated in an interview that he was tasked to essentially make a horrid caricature of 90s comic heroes, specifically stating that Cable looked like they just threw everything up on him in design. Ouch. Regardless of any controversy in design of Magog, the world was given other beautiful designs, also beautifully painted by Alex Ross with a centuries-old watercolor technique. An elegant, almost ageless Wonder Woman, an aged Superman with a futuristic, updated version of the S symbol, a version of Superman that gave fans another chance to see Brandon Routh back in the cape during the CW DC Crisis event. And among many other beautifully painted versions of our favorite heroes, an armored Batman that may not have fully appeared in the Crisis event despite a mechanically abled aged Bruce portrayed by the legendary late Kevin Conroy. We may not have seen the full costume or watched Batman through the sky on wings attached to a Rocketeer-like jetpack, but we do get to see him fly into collections and on store shelves any day now thanks to the team at McFarlane Toys. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Kingdom Come Armored Batman. Hey everyone, welcome back, and here we have our DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys Armored Batman from the Kingdom Come storyline, right? As we just went through some of the background of that, but let's take a look at the back of this package, and there is our beautiful painting, that watercolor style of the Batman, Bruce Wayne in that armored suit. But let's take a look at the side here, where we've got Armored Batman from the Kingdom Come storyline. Over here on the other side, we have that side window where we can get a little bit of a glimpse of the Armored Batman and everything that comes with him. And then back around to the front here is the figure itself. But let's take a look at that exploded view so we can see everything that comes with the figure. Boom, there he is. And there is our figure, which already has some of the wings attached to him, but as you can see, there are 2 supplemental wings that snap on each side. So it comes with those, very cool. And then we have the figure stand as usual, and the good old armored Batman collector's card. Let's bring it back into the package because this isn't the way that we came to take a look at this figure. We wanted to take a closer look at the figure itself out of the package. So without further ado, let's bust into this one. And here he is, our McFarlane Toys Kingdom Come armored Batman. So an excellent design of a figure, an excellent sculpt, I will say that. Now I do say excellent sculpt and excellent design because it is very rigid, and as you can see with the wings, they are very shiny, very glossy, but as a result, easily scratched. And a lot of these scratches, I'm sure I am responsible for some of these. I'm not going to say that I'm not, but the majority of these were already there when I got it. Now it does come packaged in plastic. They do have a plastic piece around the wings, but it seems like it wasn't enough for prior handling or cleaning or polishing or whatever the process is. It did still come with some scratches and some flaws to it. But we're going to look at the figure. We're going to take a closer look at it, starting with this head sculpt, right? So very well done. It definitely has that bat helmet thing going on there. Now my ears were bent in the package. As you can see, they kind of tilt to the side. I got them to straighten out a good bit, but not quite enough yet. And I don't want to push it too much because they are a flexible plastic, but you know, I don't want to test the waters too much and cause some kind of damage. All right, and then the sculpt of this is great. So, right, it definitely harkens to that artwork, that style. They did a very good job of mimicking that. And the face sculpt, the painting of it seems to be very well done. There is a spot where, I mean, it kind of looks a little bit faded, though, where some of the flesh tone didn't quite cover all the black of the cast plastic head. Now, this is a very rigid design, right? It's a very rigid design in the comic books because it's designed to help keep a battered, beaten Bruce Wayne standing, right? And that he has to wear every day has to work within this costume. So there we go. We're dealing with an armored suit, not a lot of mobility, and that mobility or lack thereof translates over into the figure, right? So tilting side to side, not really a thing, right? It's not really going to do that. It does have the ability to look down, but we do sacrifice a little bit of realism by getting a gap right there behind the head. I don't know if you can really see it, but yeah, that does happen. And then other movement of it is not, there's just not a lot because of this very large collar that comes up around the back. And, you know, an old beaten Bruce Wayne wouldn't have a lot of movement. We've got this piece over the shoulders right here, the bat kind of wings going on there, and it is a flexible rubber plastic. It's fixed. This seems to be glued right here, so it does stay in place. We do have decent mobility of the arms. I will say that, right? So if all this wasn't back here, it would be able to wrap all the way around, but we only have that shoulder joint, right? We don't have the typical bicep tricep, and we also do not have the typical double elbow. We have a single elbow, and any kind of rotation is mostly in the shoulder, right? So there is not a lot of mobility and articulation to this figure. Now the hand, the wrist does have that typical McFarlane wobble. And fortunately, the points here on these bracers are flexible, so they will move out of the way of the wrist and the hand when moved. And they both are in a punching fist. So there we go. And then, of course, it's the same functionality and articulation across on the other arm. We do have the mid-torso, which has that full range of motion. Of course, this back part will get in the way of arching backwards, but still not bad. Arching forward, it does give some leverage for that, so better on that, right? We don't really have much of any waist rotation, but I do love this, right? It's just such a cool design. So very Art Deco style, and then it's got like the little handle type things on there. Now the legs, these are not the best, right? It does have that typical McFarlane joint here, but it doesn't have a lot of room to travel because of the armor, nor does it really have a lot of room to rotate because the crotch area of the armor and the leg large plastic pieces do interfere with one another. So posing is not quite as nimble as it can be with some of the other figures, but we do have that double knee for good flexibility there, and that does come up very high, right? Beyond where a human would theoretically be able to. It looks very painful, but we'll bring it right back down. And then down here in the feet, we do have that typical capability, that typical joint, but we do have some of the boot coming down here on the side that kind of interferes with some of the movement, but still not bad, right? Forward and backward works very well. Toe articulation. The other leg has that same capability and down into the foot. And can we, yeah, if we move it enough, boom, we can sprain and or break an ankle. Paint apps, not really a thing, right? Because the face, as we saw, is really the only one that has a bunch of paint, per se. Everything else is cast plastic for the most part around the front. But if we whip it around to the back, these silver features, right? So these joints here are painted silver, and they are painted very well as the jetpack. I just love it. That very Art Deco age kind of Rocketeer. It really does look like the Rocketeer backpack right there if we remove the heat sinks hanging down here. But, you know, Rocketeer didn't have that, so he didn't need those. But there we go. I think it is a very nicely made figure. Yes, it does have its flaws in the wings, but I think, you know, I think it's still very well done. It's not enough to detract, and I do like it. I certainly would recommend it, even if it does take a little bit of effort to be able to display it. And here are some scale comparisons across a few lines. So there's our McFarlane Toys Armored Batman. There is the animated series Marvel Legends Cyclops. There is our Tiger Force Stuart Outback Selkirk from the G.I. Joe Classified series. And there's a Mezco Batman, the classic style of Batman, just to kind of see how different scales and different collections line up against this guy. He's very large, especially with the wings widely spread. So I hope you like it. Well, that about brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to join us. Now, if we ever do a review of something that you are trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JKCollectsToys so we can help with the search if we do not already have a way of getting one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments and let YouTube know by subscribing and clicking that like button. The more that happens, the more YouTube will recommend us so we can hopefully reach even more collectors and help them find the things that they need. And if you'd like to see some more videos, we have some links on your screen right now for you to check out. And remember, collecting or not, we are all in this world together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.